Excuse me, miss. What's that you're listening to?
Well, it's a podcast. It's all about this couple from England who are in a lifestyle and they talk about their adventures.
So is that child-friendly then, is it?
No. They say lots of naughty things and they swear a lot. But would you like to listen?
Get in the gym or to your car. With our advice you could go far. We fuck things up and we make mistakes. And talk about our sexy dates. It's getting hard for this to rhyme. Just as well 'cause it's bed hopping time.
Lovely men, wonderful men. Lovely men, wonderful men. Men, many men. Welcome to episode 55 of the Bed Hoppers podcast. My name is Mr. H. Over there is Mrs. H. This is the Many Men episode.
Apparently it's raining men.
Hallelujah. Well, we thought we would do an episode on men. It's like Sesame Street. Today's word is
Men.
It's
brought to you by the letters M-E-N.
Men!
Would you say you were Mr. Man?
Mr. Man?
Ah.
Yeah, what would my Mr. Man...
Oh my God.
Mr. Grumpy?
Oh, never.
Mr. Weirdo?
That Mr. Nerd.
Mr. Nerd? Would it have a Z at the end, so it'd be Mr. Nerds?
Mr. Nerdy.
Mr. Nerdy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Roboto.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, it would be. Exactly.
Yeah, anyway, welcome to the Menisode.
So, that sounds like, it reminds me of...
Like menopause?
Yeah, exactly that, I was going to say. I'm having a man's episode.
If I stopped it in the middle, would I be menopausing the episode?
Oh my gosh. Go and sit in the corner and think about what you said.
I'm going to go sit in the corner of a wank.
Like a man.
Like a man.
Okay.
I'm going to wank like a man. Wank like a man, wank like a man.
How many more men references would you like?
Many.
Oh my God.
So, yes, welcome to this curious little episode, which in a moment we're going to kick Mrs. H off and introduce a special guest.
Wait, that makes it sound like I'm going to kick you off. Like, kick you off in your men episode.
You're going to wank us off on our men episode?
Wait, what? No, I might have done it already. Point.
Not during the episode.
No, sadly not. We got shepherded out of the room.
Well, you ladies got shepherded out of the room.
Yes.
So we
didn't interrupt you.
Okay, so we should explain who we're talking to.
Ah, yes.
Which is
you.
You,
Mr. Man.
No, it's you, gentle listener. But in the interview, what we're about to play at some point once this weird rambling section is done, we caught up with our lovely chums, Lord Voldemort and Vanilla Ice. And we recorded a men's episode, which is this one, and a lady episode, which is next week's or 2 weeks' time's episode, or whenever we decide to put it out. Now, I do apologise. I fucked up the original recording.
I thought you were going to say you fucked up by letting me drive for the next show.
Well, yeah, I did do that.
I could see you cringing in the corner like, oh my God.
Well, the good news is, because
she's doing this entire episode.
Nobody puts Mrs. H in the corner. Although, was I in the corner? I'm not sure. Anyway, well, the good news is because the recording messed up, you won't ever have to hear that episode. They get to do it all over again.
I know, it'd be even better.
I know. And
it was already gold.
I mean, it was setting a fairly low standard, to be fair. It can only go upwards from here.
Lady Gold.
Lady Garden Gold.
Yeah, that sounds like a weird milk brand or something.
Title of my 7th studio album, Lady Garden Gold.
Okay.
I don't want to know what the golden brown cover is about.
God.
Anyway, so Lord Voldemort and I had a nice chat about men in the lifestyle. Man.
Were you all like cavemen, like beating your chests and talking about how you like to provide for your women?
It's basically 45 minutes of him and I going, ooga chaka, ooga chaka, ooga chaka.
Or were you being all like touchy-feely and getting in touch with each other's like men emotions?
I'm good. Well, I think I believe that it's a really interesting interview or conversation. I think it's not really an interview.
No, it's more of a man-to-man chat.
Yeah.
Like a nice little heart-to-heart.
Man-heart to man-heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute.
It was very cute. I was in it.
Well, yeah, but I thought it was really sweet how you two just like got your heads together and and talked about things that men probably don't talk about so much to each other.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we wanted to do, really, was explore some of the things that we found within the lifestyle, some of our insecurities, some of the problems that we've encountered, and share them with you all, bare our heart on our man sleeves.
Aww. I think it's interesting that actually more and more husbands and wives and partners, etc., will talk to each other now more, communicate about things, which is great. But again, men tend not to, and it's a generalisation, talk to each other sometimes.
That's true. I think as a sweeping generalisation, certainly in my vanilla life.
Whereas women will get together all the time and be like, tell me everything, and we'll happily just dissect anything and pull it apart and talk about each other's like lives happily. Men don't tend to do it as often.
No, not really. I mean, most of my friends, if I'm chatting to them and the topic of sex come up, you hear one of them go, "But!" and they just fly away.
Oh, I'm off to get a beer now.
Yeah.
Watch some footy.
Exactly. No, they don't really do footy, many of them. But
you know what I mean, though.
But yeah,
they
they'll
won't
do
really
the
tackle a
equivalent.
subject.
We're off to play something manly like Gears of War or something. I don't know.
Let's go beat our chests.
No, that requires a level of effort. Let's lift a controller and celebrate by calling each other names via PlayStation chat or something. So, yeah, it was really interesting to sit down with Lord Voldemort and go through, or LV as we call him, all of this stuff and get some of this stuff off our man chests. I really should stop saying man in front of so many things.
Well, you do both have very delightful man chests.
Oh, thank you. How are you doing?
Although it sounds like something that you'll keep men stuff in. A man chest.
What?
Well, like a chest of stuff that you're going to keep men things in. Not men in.
Yeah, I see what you did. It just took a weirder turn than normal.
Oh, wait, hang on. Why is this any great surprise to you, given the fuck-ups I've made over the last week?
Well, it's quite interesting, actually, because on our first recording session, Lord Voldemort turned up wearing a hat.
He really did. It was a fine hat.
And you said to him, "Why are you wearing a farmer's hat?"
Yes, he did remind me of a farmer.
And he said, "Is it not more like Fidel Castro?" And Mrs. H said, "What, like the oil?"
No, what I said was, "Oh, how's your car?" And he was like, "Why would you say car if I said I was like Fidel Castro?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, like the oil, like Castro GTX."
So, despite our visit to Cuba a couple of years ago, Mrs. H has clearly not taken on the importance and historical reference of the whole Fidel Castro stuff, and instead has reduced it to Castro oil.
Yes, so there was much hilarity.
Yes.
And you all shook your heads at me in dismay.
I think we referenced it once or twice. Well, actually, I'm not sure because we recorded 2 interviews that are both around about an hour long, and both about the same topic with us covering the same thing. So,
amazing.
Exactly. Well, actually, you lucky listeners, you get the slightly shorter version because by the time we got round to the second recording, we were ever so slightly more succinct.
Oh, good.
Like 7 minutes more succinct, yeah. So somewhere out there was additional content. There's tons of stuff that we wanted to cover that we just didn't get time.
Maybe you can do a follow-up.
Well, I don't want to overstep my man mark. So, and obviously it's really important that you get the chance to have a similar conversation with Vanilla Ice and share in some of the things that you've been talking about.
So we have much to say.
Well, that's not unusual, to be fair. So if you want to check those guys out, their profile name is His Cock Her Tail.
Yeah.
And we talk about that on the show. They're also on Twitter. And they're on Reddit as well. There's a whole bunch of sexy pictures of them around. So please go and check those out. I'm sure they'd love that.
Cool.
So without further ado, I'm going to play the interview music.
Oh my God, holy shit.
Yeah, exactly. One, because it's the only one that you sing on. And 2, because I made that piece of fucking music and I'm damn sure I'm going to use it every opportunity I get.
Well, here you go. You have a good chance.
Yeah, thanks. Roll the thing.
We've got something that's just for you. Holy shit, it's an interview.
So, welcome to the boys edition, the men edition.
The man-isode?
The manisode?
Minisode?
Yeah. The Doudoir. Welcome to the Doudoir. I think that's probably as good as we're going to get it. This is our second go at trying to record this. It's fair to say that we recorded a marvellous show,
Brilliant. And if this one isn't good, just think all the really good stuff that was in the other one.
Yeah, that you could have heard. What you could have won was amazing. And we'll probably just spend the time, in fact, talking about how good the last episode that we recorded and weren't able to publish was. And by the way, this is Mr. H here, and with me is...
Lord Voldemort.
Cunning. Potter. So we're here today to talk about all things men. So this was really inspired by Kate from Swinging Down Under, invited me onto her show, or her and Daryl's show, to talk a bit about men and some of the issues that we face in the lifestyle and some of the things that crop up. And I thought it was a really good opportunity to explore that a little bit in more depth, talk about some of the things that Lord Voldemort and I have sort of experienced, and really just talk men. So we've broken it down into a number of areas, and hopefully we'll get through these given enough time. So the first one I really want to cover, Lord Voldemort. Mm-hmm. LV, is that?
LV, yes, I believe that's the latest version.
Yeah, let's run with that, LV.
Okay.
Thanks.
Easier.
Yeah, exactly. So body issues. When I joined the lifestyle, I was absolutely worried about my weight. I was worried about my height. I was worried about being too hairy and having a beard.
Were these things you were worried about before?
Not massively, actually, which is, it probably says a lot about my relationship. Not to say that I didn't give a shit about those things. I think when we joined, I was in a bit of I'd already started sort of working on my weight. I can't work on my height. There's only so much so many Cuban heels I can put on, and so many Hobbit roles I can audition for. But I was actually just, I was trying to tackle the weight, and I think certainly looking back at our wedding pictures with Mrs. H and I, we were both a lot larger than we ever wanted to be, and we were kind of already working on that a bit. And then we thought, let's, we talked about the lifestyle as a thing, and I thought, holy shit, I've got to put some effort in. And I think neither one of us wanted to be the weakest link, although clearly it is me. It was, we wanted to put our best selves forwards. So I was really worried about weight. And the other thing that came up when we signed on to Fab, one of the first messages we got was like, "Oh, you seem like really nice people. Could you shave your beard for me?"
Yeah. I get that people have preferences. Now, some things you can't change. Talk about height, weight. I mean, some people are going to be naturally heavier because they have that kind of frame. But you could shave your beard off or change your hair or any of these things. The question is, would you want to, just for somebody else? I mean, if that's you have a beard, I have a beard, I like having a beard, and I think...
it is a good beard, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
It's all right.
But yeah, I was like, no, I've got a beard, and if you don't like that, then find someone else.
Then piss off, effectively.
Exactly, yeah.
But it shook me, actually, that someone would be, can you change part of yourself fundamentally so we can hook up as a one-off or something? Which just seems crazy.
Yeah, I mean, yes, if you're in a long-term relationship and your wife didn't particularly like your beard, then I wouldn't even suggest changing it. But
your wife?
Yeah. But you could, But yeah, just for a short-term thing, I think that person would have to be incredible. And even then, it's a bit of an ask.
It is quite... And the other thing that sort of struck me around the sort of weight issue and the changing of stuff is just the level of effort that some people put in. And I think there is something in that quite often we see that the men don't bother in terms of trying to keep themselves in a decent shape, whereas the women seem to make a lot more effort. This is massive sweeping generalisations, of course.
Yeah, of course. I don't know, is that true of society in general?
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of guys who make an effort, but if you were going on a date just as a singleton rather than a double date, would the girls always make more effort? I mean, maybe.
But it's interesting because in the lifestyle, you want to do your very best and sort of attract as many great people as you can. So for me, it feels like I've almost got a care of duty to put the most effort in. But it doesn't surprise me, but I'm always a little bit disappointed when the guy rocks up and he's just, rolled out of bed and not really made any effort.
Yeah, and that can be, a body thing. I mean, you say, yes, you've got a beard, but there's a difference between having a beard and having a trimmed beard that you've made a bit of effort, had a bit of a shave, maybe put some beard oil in, whatever. It shows you've made an effort.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not like beards, and then that's not going to change it, but you are well kept. And again, the clothes and anything else. And I think that, we've been to clubs together, and I think they have a dress code there, and the girls will come in and look absolutely stunning, and do dresses and lingerie and heels, and the guys will come in and they're not even adhered to the dress code.
No, it's a t-shirt and jeans.
Jeans, yeah.
And it's not even something it's like a team building 1990 t-shirt. It does always not shock me, I think it just surprises me at that lack of care and attention. So if there's one thing, or there's probably many things that we'll cover on this, but it would be great to see more people making an effort and trying to look their best. The other thing that I've got on my body issues list, this was something that worried me a lot, was actually cock size. Now, in our great episode, we talked about this quite a bit.
Yes.
So your fab name is
His Cock, Her Tail,
and we met each other on Reddit, right?
That's right.
So
in fact, it was a Reddit name first.
Yeah.
Using to post photos on Reddit.
And our first thing that we did was that we checked out your Reddit pictures. And it's fair to say, fella, you have a pretty big cock.
Thank you. I don't really know how to respond to that.
Thanks.
Yes. Yeah, the name was, we like cocktails, and then because we were going to be posting naughty pictures, the cock and the tail, I didn't really think anything of it. So it was interesting to know how that name was received.
We thought, holy shit, the ego on this bloke.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it, and that I can understand how that might look, but that wasn't really the intention. And then subsequently, I was like, oh well, we've got a Reddit account, so let's use the same name for Fab, and now Twitter, Insta, all that stuff.
And it was, to be fair, it was a little bit intimidating. I mean, I don't have to handle it, frankly, so that does save me a job. But Mrs. H has handled it, and I was like, Christ, how does that pan out? And I think when we started that whole lifestyle journey, I've always you just don't know whether you've got a massive, massive cock, or often you don't, I think.
Well, no, I think you're right, because, yes, I've got a larger than average cock, but the trouble is, I haven't seen a lot of cocks, and the ones that you've seen are porn, and they're all, huge.
Yeah.
And the perspectives that they use in porn to make all cocks look even bigger. So there's not a lot to compare to. So, erect cocks, that is. That's what in the changing room, you might see other guys, but, and so you don't really know. Even then, you sort of think, oh, actually, okay, maybe mine is a bit larger than average, but yeah, it is a concern. I mean, it's not a worry. It's not something I'm worried about, but equally, I think it doesn't. If you can't, I mean, the old cliche is it's not what you do with it. It's not the size of it. It's what you do with it, or not the
is there something
size
about
of the wave, motion of the ocean. Yeah, all those. But that certainly holds true. I think there's probably some guys that just turn up and go, "Oh, I've got a big cock. Don't need to do anything else." And actually, in our bedroom, and there's plenty of other stuff that goes on, not including a cock. So actually, if you're not good at oral or with your hands or toys or any of those things, actually, then the cock is just a very small part of it, or a large part of it.
But it is an interesting one, because when we started going into the lifestyle, it was something that played on my mind quite heavily. And actually, as I've gone on, I'm quite fortunate. It's not that I have a tiny cock by any stretch of the imagination, but it's been actually quite an interesting journey around getting your head into that space where, holy shit, that guy's huge. My wife must instantly love that more than anything else that she has at home. And
I think the thing is, again, porn perpetuates that myth, isn't it? That, women are only after massive dongs.
Yeah, exactly. And some of them are not.
No.
Fortunately.
Well, I mean, I think we would much rather that a guy can, do lots of interesting things rather than just have a big cock. Yeah. Juggling.
Magic.
Yeah.
All those things.
Yeah. Well, while in the bedroom, I mean, that would be an experience. But yeah, I think, but it's interesting as well, just seeing a lot of naked people and what these bodies are like. And we recently went to a naked spa, and yeah, everyone was just walking. And firstly, you're like, oh, this is a bit weird. And then suddenly it was really liberating. But just actually, there's loads of bodies out there, loads of cocks of different sizes and shape, and and the women's bodies all different. And so it's really interesting to see that. And the more you actually see real people, not airbrush models and porn stars and all of that, it gives you sort of like, oh, okay, my body's not that odd, or it's not.
And that's really true. I mean, we shit ourselves about going to Desire for weeks and weeks and months, just worried about how do we fit in, how do we, are we going to be attractive enough to people? Are we too heavy, chunky, tiny boobs, cock, whatever?
Where do we sit?
Where do we sit in that pantheon? Actually, that moment of when we got there and got through the doors, it wasn't that long, and I was, fuck it, I'm taking my shorts off, and I was naked for the rest of the time there, and it was actually very, like you say, very liberating and amazing to see all these different sizes, shapes, and characters and people and all this sort of stuff. And it actually, you begin to, you sort of line up really in a way. You get your head in gear and you're like, actually, this doesn't really matter. It's much more about your personality or the skills that you bring to the table. Or
well, that's it. So I mean, apart from the things inside the bedroom, actually, the cock is a very small part of the guy, and then actually the body is a very small part of the person, isn't it? So you might be tall or short, or and you might be what society deems absolutely perfect specimen, tall, 6-pack, big dong, all that. But if you've got nothing else, if you've got no personality, or I'm very sapiosexual, so for me, attractiveness, I need intelligent conversation and humour, and I like a bit of something, someone that can banter a bit, take the piss out of you, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And actually, I'd much rather sleep with someone who is, not sort of that ideal woman that you might have created on Weird Science, but but like has something else, and then or rather than that kind of perfect body, but there's just no depth.
And it's important to realise that if you feel that way, then other people must feel that way too. But it's getting your head into that. That space,
absolutely. And I've never had too many body issues. I'm quite tall, and that's generally deemed attractive. I've never carried too much weight, because I'm just lucky with my metabolism. But everybody has issues. You're still looking at it, oh no, I don't like that. Or it's when you see a photo from the side and you never see yourself from the side, and you go, oh God, my head's a weird shape, or whatever it might be.
Well, I've taken so many selfies now, I'm at the point where I pretty much know my face from every angle.
But then what about when someone takes a photo of you from behind?
Oh, I've done that with a time.
Oh, okay. Well,
I found ways around that.
Perfect.
So moving on to the other bit that I want to cover is around performance issues. And this was always a worry of mine going into the lifestyle, because actually you get very used to your partner, and your partner knows what you like, and what we found initially is that our whole sexy times had compressed into very streamlined. This is how it works. We can get each other off quickly. We can do it all quickly. We can do this and that.
Functional.
But I wouldn't necessarily go quite to functional, but it certainly was minimum fuss around, around the outside of it, and you could just get there quickly. So for me, I was really worried about coming too soon, or, and that always stuck in my head. And because, my tendency is I can go off at a moment's notice, but the flip side of that is I've always known that I'd be able to pick myself up and repeat quite often and quite quickly. So that's the flip side for me. So I've always kind of been like, oh, fuck, that's going to happen. But I'm like, if I get 10 minutes, then I can go again. If I get another 20 minutes...
And you can do something in that 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Something else. Yeah.
Read a book, watch a little Pixar short.
Back to the juggling.
Yeah, exactly. That's when the magic show starts. So it took me a while to get over that. And I, had moments where we've been in the lifestyle and we've had a play day and it's happened too soon. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And then sometimes, by the time things are going round again for me, which isn't very long, the other guy's finished, and then that's him done.
And everyone's finished.
Finished. And then I'm just sat there muttering like Muttley, going,
I'm ready to go.
Yeah. So there is that juggling that and understanding your own body well enough as to how it's going to work, and, what your strengths and weaknesses are. But I've also sort of tried to get used to, just even wearing condoms was such a change of pace for us.
I had to have a little trial. But I was like, oh, God, I literally haven't worn a condom for ages. And, weirdly, I hadn't thought about condom size before. Because I didn't realise that my dick was a bit weird. I'd never sort of thought of king. I was like, I don't need a king size. I mean, that's for, but actually it hadn't really occurred to me. And only sort of more recently I've kind of thought more about that. And, so, it was interesting, that kind of development that I go, oh, well, okay, actually, I might have a big dick and I might need condoms. I might need, but performance-wise, I've never had trouble coming too early. Not a problem. And actually, I've got that. Usually, when I first start off, I could probably come really quickly. Mm-hmm. But I've always been able to sort of control that and then go, oh, okay, no, I don't want to come now. I'm not going to come. The negative is almost sometimes I'll do that and then I've almost gone beyond it and then I'm not going to come. So I've been, with my wife and we go and she's having a great time. We'll enjoy it. Yeah, not bigging myself up or anything, but, but she's come several times. She's all absolutely knacking that bit. And I'm just like, I'm, if you're done, I'm probably not going to get there now. I've kind of gone beyond it. And it doesn't actually bother me because I'm more about the journey than the destination. So I enjoy actually having sex and, pleasure, giving pleasure and all of that. But I know the flip side can be actually a lady quite likes to know that they've been able to make you come.
Well, and that's, we've encountered that situation before where a fella hasn't come with Mrs. H and she's wondering if she's broken as a result of that, or is she not sexy enough?
Because she couldn't
get him there. And it's interesting, you sort of say, you've been in situations where you've held it for so long and then you sort of go past that point. And very rarely that's happened to me. And at that point, I'm like, what the fuck is actually going on? And, granted, if it's like, you've gone several rounds and it's nothing but blood and air at that point, then I can understand that.
Or if you've drunk so much.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be that drinking doesn't seem to knock me out. The thing, I think I've had occasions where I've just sort of passed out and that thing keeps working, which is slightly worrying.
Right.
Probably says a lot more
about
I
see. Okay, right.
Not, that obviously hasn't happened to that extent, but it tends to be that I can be really ill, poorly and sick or whatever, and it just does its thing, which is quite magical in many ways.
Yeah. So I suppose the opposite side of that then is the not being able to get it up. So the erectile dysfunction, you call it. Now, we've talked about this before. You've never had a problem with that.
No.
So it's never been an issue. I had never had a problem with it. Even, so with my wife, but also with previous partners, no problem. Even when, and again, alcohol can be an issue, but even almost the opposite. When I've drunk too much, I almost get an even more, that's not a word, an even bigger hard-on than normal. And so, no
issues. At
this
point, Mr. H moves the bottle of wine away from Lord Voldemort.
However, in the lifestyle, it is something I've experienced. And I was shocked, I suppose. And, I felt like shit, to be honest with you. Now, it's important to say that I've never had any problem with it. It's not a medical issue, as far as I can tell. Some people will have had medical issues, and there's loads of things. And if you do, you should, go and see a GP, get it sorted out. It could be diabetes, it could be all these things. But chances are, that you have those, and you have them in your own, your own bedroom with yourself or with your wife. So it's, but it is worth investigating if that is good. I think in the lifestyle, if you don't have any problem for it, is just mental. Not like, oh, crazy, but I mean, it's a mental problem. And it can be a number of things, just distractions, or someone else is playing with your wife, or the pressure gets to you, or all of these things. But, so going back to, having a big dick, great, fantastic. But actually, if you can't get it out, then
I wonder how many people are thinking about blue trees right now.
And how many people are thinking about not being able to get out.
Yeah, don't think about blue trees or not getting it out.
Yeah, sorry guys. So yeah, and it's self-fulfilling really. But I think, it did make me feel pretty rubbish about it. But actually talking about it, realising that it isn't the end of the world. It might happen again. And, if that does happen, you can still get involved in other ways. There's, like I said before, oral fingers, sex toys, all those kind of things that you can still be part of it.
Reading out a nice book.
Reading out a book, commentary.
Yeah, commentary is a particular favourite of mine.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, but if you just sort of sit on the sideline, just, mumbling to yourself, you're going to get more, depressed about it, and it's going to be more upsetting, and you'll feel rubbish the next day, probably. And so, actually, it's hard, it's easy to say, but there are things as well that I think you can do to get out of it. I think playing with your partner is quite good. So, starting off together, but also just getting some experience under your belt, I think. For me, I just
literally.
Yeah. Just, going, okay, we're going to go and play. And like I said, we recently went to a nudist spa, just walking around naked, seeing other people, just, taking those opportunities and not, especially when you don't have to overthink it. Because if you're setting up for a date, you are naturally going to think, I wonder what, if I'm going to be good enough, and all of that pressure can get you. Whereas if you just take those opportunities and in the moment, then chances are you haven't sort of got into your own head too much.
It is, I think, especially at your early career in the lifestyle, it can be quite easy to be intimidated by other people. And certainly Mrs. H and I have had that conversation, and we've been in a situation where sometimes the guys will literally take off the clothes immediately and they'll be hard and ready to go. And it's like, whoa, like how the fuck do they... And some people that's their talent, that's what they can do.
But it might be that, they're quite experienced and so they're used to doing that.
Or they've knocked back a couple of blue pills. That could always be the alternative as well. So, and there are various solutions to all of these things, but you're right, I think getting yourself in the right headspace is often more important than anything else.
So. I mean, the chance that if you don't have actually a problem, then actually the pills aren't going to solve it if it's all mental. But if there's a placebo effect, if they help, just keep you hard rather than, because it's not just not being able to get hard, it's losing it halfway through for no particular reason. I find myself, it is an intimidating thing as well. I've always led in the bedroom, so been more dominant with all my partners really. So to suddenly be in a situation where I'm not leading the action, that I find slightly challenging to deal with, I suppose. And I'm not opposed to it. It's not I don't like it, but it's not my normal. And so I'm out of my comfort zone. And I think all of it's being out of your comfort zone.
Being inherently lazy, I quite enjoy it when someone takes the lead.
Well, I think I would like it more, but that is a conversation for another day.
Maybe if we talk loud enough, the ladies will hear it and take some notes. Well, did they just knock on the door then?
No, that was me knocking the chair.
Fair enough. So the other thing that worried me actually was going into the lifestyle was around not being able to please somebody. Just knowing if those techniques that you developed with your partner, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever, do they translate to other people? And
no, I think is the short answer.
Well,
some might, and some, So, but don't rely.
You can't. You've got to be able to mix it up and develop other skills, I think, and that did worry me at first, but actually it turns out that it wasn't too difficult to change things up a bit. But I was really kind of panicky, but I was quite lucky in many ways because some of our first few people were almost exact replicas of the way they like to be handled that Mrs. H is in the bedroom. So it was kind of like, oh, this I can do, no problem. Let's roll out the standards.
Well, exactly that. And that's something I've done. Actually, Vanilla Ice, my other half, likes quite a firm touch, and that's fine, but that's what I'm used to, and now I'm almost having to just be a bit more gentle, I think.
This is why she keeps slapping me and telling me to be much more firm.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Also, she's quite firm as well, and so she perhaps needs to rein it in a little bit. I think you might agree. And so, it's just a case of like, oh, actually, this is my go-to move. It always works, but it doesn't. And I think the key is communication.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to ask for what you want and ask if someone's happy with what you're doing is so important.
Both of those, aren't they? It's got to be give and take, because you can say as much as you like, oh, do you like that? And if they just say, yeah, but it's not true, well, what's the point? If she just said, just a tiny bit to the left, then actually she'd enjoy it more, you'd enjoy pleasing her more, and it's not that hard, but it is.
Well, see, I think and this is why I like developing sort of friendships with people that we can come back to and see a number of times. Hey, how you doing? Because that communication becomes much better and much stronger, and there's no the worry of saying the wrong thing or even doing the wrong thing just kind of goes out the window, because it's much more fluid and involved. And actually, people don't mind if they ask for something or if they do something.
Yeah, I think that is, and it's the familiarity, really, isn't it? That yes, with your own partner, you might feel
so familiarity breeds content.
Content.
Yeah. Bad puns. Oh my god, yes. So that was kind of where I thought about that. There's a few social issues as well that I kind of wanted to touch on. Ironically,
you wanted to touch on
what? Well, the first one, as you can see on my list here, is bi men.
So you wanted to touch on bi men? Well, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely fine. So it's not. Mike says with a cup of tea in front of him, not my cup of tea necessarily. But it is something that sort of strikes me that actually there is this strange dynamic where the ladies are very much encouraged to be bi.
Almost expected.
Yeah, almost. And I've known Mrs. H to throw her toys out the pram a little bit when a woman hasn't been bi. Someone like her to get irritated.
Couldn't possibly.
Maybe I should talk lower than this. You can't hear us. You won't listen to the podcast anyway. It's fine.
Oh,
so.
Well, that's all right, because my wife doesn't listen either. So.
Universally winning. But it is that strange dynamic of the women are encouraged to be that, but bi guys are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there are more bi women in general. There's certainly a sliding scale of some women who are actually bisexual and would quite happily, spend time with women, even have a relationship with women. And then you're sort of pillow princess, is that
something like that, yeah.
Who are just doing.
Although I can only think of pillow pants now from Close 2.
Okay, there is another phrase, but I can't remember what it is. Lipstick lesbian.
Yes.
So yes, and there's an element of just doing it for the guys, but that I don't know, that doesn't do it for me one bit.
I think if someone's putting on a show, it just doesn't. I mean, we wouldn't turn around and go, "Let's put on a show for the girls," as much as they may enjoy that.
Yes.
So,
no, it doesn't, because it's like watching a strip show, or it's like. You expect, yeah, exactly.
I struggle to find sexy times out of fake things, I think, more.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's interesting that there is that weird dynamic. The other thing that strikes me around guys and the lifestyle is around the compliments thing. And actually, guys don't tend to compliment each other either.
No, I think that, again, is an extension of society. And women do compliment each other, and men compliment women.
Do women compliment men?
Not as much as... It's usually men complimenting women a lot. Not always the greatest compliments from what I've seen online, and then women do compliment men, but not that much. And then men don't compliment men.
It rarely happens.
Yeah, and I think, again, that is a sudden... And it's probably sort of harking back to that. There's a lot of homophobia, and whereas generally bisexual women, especially in porn, is accepted, whereas bisexual men, gay men, is not. There's something there that's different, and again, there's that concern that if I compliment him, it might mean I'm gay, or I might come across as bisexual or, whatever it might be. And I think there's a slight fear of that, when actually it's quite possible to say that someone looks nice without wanting to have sex with them.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting one, and it was actually at the gym this weekend. Someone said, "Hey, looking pretty ripped on the arms there, doing all right." Not true, but I was like, "Oh,
well, I complimented you on Twitter the other day."
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure.
But in a gym environment, I think that does happen sometimes. But actually, when you take it outside of that, very rarely day to day.
I don't know if that's the gym. Everyone's trying to work on their body, so they're all body
conscious. I suppose.
Yeah. But no, you just don't. You don't get that, and it's quite possible to say to a woman, "Your hair looks nice," without wanting to have sex with her. So why wouldn't you say to a man, "Oh, your hair looks nice"?
Especially if you say, "Your hair looks lovely, but I don't want to have sex with you."
You've got to be careful.
I've used it all through Vanilla Alternative on many occasions. Great hair, wouldn't want to fuck you.
That's a winning line.
It is. That was a winning line. I think there is something around the attitudes of guys as well, and I do think there is. There tends to be this sort of rock up and fuck approach, and I don't know whether that's sort of more exclusive to the UK or not. And harking back to the whole dogging type stuff that seems to be so popular.
Yeah, because that is literally that, isn't it? Just rock up. And I suppose that and there's got to be a success rate with that. So there's obviously got to be women that like it, but as you've seen dogging, it's usually one woman in about. But just the amount of guys on Fab that send you a message saying, "Oh, can you fuck tonight?" Like, it must work, must it? Or do you just want...
Oh, we had a great one tonight. Up to meet.
Oh.
Pretty much one word.
Nice, yeah. Right, yeah, absolutely.
What I really liked is when we clicked on their profile, they were hunting for coke.
Oh, right.
So great.
I mean, just have a little look down our profile and it'll give you a clue. I mean, it probably says, no, not interested in seeing guys or whatever it might be, but it's just spamming messages. But it must work, must it? I don't know. It's like telesales, I think.
Well, so if you throw enough monkeys at typewriters, you'll eventually get something of worth.
Yeah.
Eventually, that line may work for one woman, I suppose, and that's all they need. But it is strange because I do perceive a lot of the fellas in the lifestyle to have this sort of let's just crack on and fuck. And we've certainly encountered people that have been in that frame of mind, certainly in our very early days when we went to sort of various socials and events and things. And it was very much, well, you're not a swinger unless that's what you do.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult. So actually, swinger is such a broad term, and sex lives of people are very broad, and everybody does things differently, and that's the same for swinging. And you can do it however you want. And for some people, the rocking up and fucking, if that's
the thing,
and that's fine, But it's not going to be for everyone. It's not our approach, but it might work for some people.
No, well, I suppose it does really. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, and we touched about it already, is a little bit about that dress sense and effort of the guys. And I think, and it is something that irks me, because there's nothing worse than sort of having some messages on a profile, and well, there's probably worse things, but it irritates me at the moment of chatting to people, and you see some of the pictures. Typically, you won't get pictures of the guy,
no,
which is fine. Not really fine. It should be better, but that's what we've come to expect, I think. And then you meet them, and the guy turns up, and he's just wearing some fucking scrawled out shirt that hasn't even, it's just
it's a slap in the face.
Yeah, it's a piss poor effort, especially when the woman has gone to so much trouble to look so lovely. So I'm like, yes, this is going to be amazing. This is great. As the woman comes around the corner, this is perfect, amazing. And Mrs. H is going to like her. And then I see the guy come around. I think there's no fucking way that we're going to be able to do anything with them, because not even because he's like hideous or ugly, whatever it might be. It's just that he's not putting any effort at all.
And it just sort of gives the impression that you're not worth it.
Yeah. And, I don't like the idea of Mrs. H sort of, being treated that way in a way.
Yeah.
I feel like she deserves a little bit of effort.
I mean, in some ways, and I'm not defending that movie, it's like going to a wedding, isn't it? Women go, oh, what should I wear? Well, I could wear this dress or long dress. Or yeah. Whereas men go, oh, I'll wear a suit again.
Yeah.
That suit again, yeah. And so there are limits, but, put a shirt on, iron it, maybe.
Yeah.
Clean
it and then iron it.
Have a shave.
Yeah.
Or trim, whatever. Yeah. Makes an effort to look nice.
I think it is so important. I think, again, this is one of those things that I'd really like people to take out of this, is actually to guys to start trying to put more of an effort in, and especially on the profiles as well. It's really nice to see profiles of the couple and the woman, and granted that's great, but also, if there's no profile pics of the guy...
Why is that there are no... I mean, generally what you'll get is a load of profile pictures of the lady, ranging from sort of cheeky, erotic to,
full-on bottle of champagne shoved down at lunch.
And no picture of the guy, or one picture of the guy's cock, or just a load of cock pics.
Yeah, I don't get it. And especially even if you go... So on Fab Swingers, there's two levels. There's a public view and a friend view. And even to people that we know, even the people that we've played with, the pictures you kind of... There's very few of the guys. And
I mean, we've certainly got more pictures on our profile of her than me. And do you? I mean, the thing is, you and I take more photos, and we make the effort to take them and enjoy taking the photos. And it doesn't necessarily happen the other way around.
I think on our personal profile, I think there's a lot more pictures of me and us as a couple. Certainly from the friend one, there are a lot more.
And you've taken all of those.
Yeah. Well, most of them, I think, yeah. And I do suppose not everyone is as much as a selfie whore as myself. But on our Bed Hoppers account, I think it's mixed. It's mostly Mrs. H, because that's what draws in the listeners.
Well, and I think there is an element of that. And if you put out a picture on Fab, you can go on, can't you, and rate the top rated photos of the last month or the last year, whatever it is. And they're all women, and they'll have hundreds of thousands of votes. And then and if you put up a picture of your other half, it'll get a load of Fabs or whatever they call them. And then you'll put up a picture of yourself, and there'll be like about 3 likes, and it's pretty soul destroying.
Well,
that's the same on Reddit and
Twitter as well. Yeah. And that we found that today I put a picture of Mrs. H's arse.
Lovely picture.
Thank you very
much. Lovely arse.
Yeah, it was a good little bit of spanking going on there before we took that picture. It has a glow about it, the arse, and that already I think that's been on there, and it's got something like 100 likes or 80
likes and retweets.
And all this sort of stuff. Picture of my chest last week. Granted, my chest is not as nice as Mrs. H's arse.
I like the picture of your chest, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated. But again, that will get 20.
Yeah.
But that is the world in which we live in, I think. I also think there seems to be less women on social media than there are men.
So the men are liking the pictures of ladies, right? But that's back to the compliments thing, isn't it? That men are liking the pictures of the girls, and the ladies are also liking those pictures, whereas the men aren't liking pictures of men. So they're not complimenting, but they're not liking it. And, you can appreciate that someone looks good without... And again, we're harking back to that sort of biphobia or homophobia.
It is strange. And I tell you, one of the things that struck me is when we first met Kate and Daryl from Swinging Down Under, Daryl was very complimentary about us as a couple, but also very complimentary about me. And I think he makes a real concerted effort. I think he talked about it on their guy show to actually compliment people and point out the good things when he sees them. So, and I've really taken that to heart, actually. I really try and do that as we go through our Twitter stuff. And 9 times out of 10, it's me manning our Twitter account. Yeah. Occasionally, Mrs. H will jump in, mostly to get Pokemon codes. But I still try and like the guy picture. I do like the guy pictures, and we try and comment on both. Because, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, you can like the picture, and it's a good... I mean, it's they look good in it, but also... I quite like a good photo. Yeah. There's nothing I hate worse than those crappy, no-effort photos. There's loads of sort of crap in the background.
Oh, it's the crap in the background.
There's no focus. It's entertaining, but it's not. I'm not going to like it because I don't like the photo, let alone the composition is not there. So, whereas I I like to think I'd put a bit of effort into the photos I take and tweaking them after. I mean, just a little bit of cropping sometimes. You could crop out some of that shit in the background.
Yeah, it helps. I mean, to be fair, like I said, your photos were so good they intimidated us. It's clearly done too good a job.
Right.
You need to make them a bit shitter.
Okay, right, yeah.
Just put some crap in the background, a few kids' toys, and a pet wandering through.
But for me, that's an effort thing as well. Like you talk about the guy not putting as much effort in. If you haven't put any effort into your pictures or your profile, well, there's nothing written in there. There's no information about you. There's no effort, and what effort are you going to get?
If the only effort is to the University of Sydney, do not steal my pictures.
Yes, yeah.
It's never going to work. Well, Lord Voldemort, we have got a little bit of time left to answer some tweets that we had through and some messages.
Okay.
So we'll do our best to kind of cover these, some of which I think we've probably talked about, but, So the first one was from the Sharing is Caring podcast. Good friends there.
Yeah, indeed.
Hello, guys. They say, women compliment each other a lot and are very supportive of one another. Men, not so much. Some men even react like it's weird and I'm hitting on them when I give them a compliment. I'm not always. Which leads on to not many men are bi-curious, which limits play. So I think we've covered the compliment bit quite quite substantially there.
And that's obviously from Kiwi, very good-looking chap.
He is. He is.
And I'm getting good at this compliment.
Yeah.
But
he's a very nice
man.
man.
I can understand what you're saying, and the fact that he's bi. So there is, a concern maybe that people will think you're just hitting on them without, making that compliment. And he might be.
It's perfectly possible.
Yeah. But he might not be.
Maybe he needs to adopt the patented Mr. H chat-up line for women, which is, you have very nice hair, but I don't want to fuck with you. Lord Voldemort, you have lovely glasses, but I don't want to give you a hand job.
Oh, okay.
There we go, see?
Thanks, I think.
Cool. Well, thanks to those guys for that. We had one from Hot New Yogi, which is the hardest thing that we have is Mrs. Yogi is very picky when it comes to men.
Is this the bear, Yogi?
I think not, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. She's very picky when it comes to men. She only finds 1 out of every 30 men to be sexy, while most of the women we run into she finds sexy. I'm not sure if it is the men that are ugly or if it is that she is picky, but it limits our play.
There's nothing wrong with having high standards.
No.
I wonder what his opinion is. He doesn't say that, but whether he is picky about the women or whether he's, because, and I'm not saying, that he is, but, that just down to fuck. Actually, some guys aren't picky.
No, and I think it's difficult to know whether because she may well have very high standards, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with having high standards.
And the fact is, if you've got a great relationship and you're, happy with your sex life and you're just looking to enhance it, then why
drop your standards for a quick
chat? Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And you might, especially, and you were saying earlier about getting to know people and having building a bit of a relationship rather than just trying to shag through everyone on fab. And I think that's it. So if you are going to be find a few good ones and just have repeat meets.
I think that's probably where I'd prefer to head towards. Certainly, a few other people echoed some of those statements.
You think you might have a repeat meet with us?
Maybe.
No,
we're back here again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's because the podcast didn't record last time.
Oh, thanks. No, my dreams are smashed now. So behind closed doors, UK added, "I'm with you. Keep your heels and your standards high," which makes sense. Then his cocktail said, "Looking buff, Mr. A."
That's very generous.
Yeah, very nice. Then Rick and Rachel said, "Rachel is super picky about guys, and I'm super awkward at sealing the deal, and also nerds."
Yeah. Well, if I have found anything about the lifestyle, having thought previously about all the horrendous stereotypes that I had, having looked at Fab, all those stereotypes are true. There are lots of it. But there's also a hell of a lot of nerds out there.
A lot of nerds.
Yeah, and maybe that's just people that I've sort of decided to follow because, personal preferences as well. But, yeah, there's a lot of hot nerds. So, I mean, I wouldn't worry about that.
No, the nerd bit, I think they'll be absolutely fine on. I think the awkward in sealing the deal, and there's someone else, sex people Lynn, said, "Some of the hardest problems for me is knowing how much forwardness is appropriate. or even expected in a group
But
play.
that's similar situation.
Similar sort of thing, yeah. It can be difficult to gauge, and I sometimes feel I miss out. And
actually, if you have been a bit of a nerd at school, you probably haven't been that forward in your social life.
Yeah,
they often go hand in hand. Those kind of things.
They do. It's an interesting one because we found that as a couple, we've sat back and been quite quiet and not particularly forward. If the environment hasn't welcomed us as much,
you've got to read the room.
You do, but also we our default option, if we're not 100% comfortable, is to sit back and laugh at the world around us and just take the piss out of it. So for us, actually, we're not very good sometimes at being forward. Granted, I've got better at that.
Yeah, and do you feel you've missed out? I know certainly in my own love life before my wife, there were certainly moments where I go, I could have got to know that girl a bit better.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I just didn't take that opportunity that was sitting on a plate.
Sometimes you just don't spot it, and my awareness isn't always as good as it.
Yeah, I've had that when people say, "Oh, she was so into you." What, really? Yeah.
Well, in fact, I had going back a few years ago, someone from coming back to school, and just happened to get in touch, and she sort of said, "Oh, I really liked you." That time we went out and did X, Y, and Z, and just sort of caught up, and it was like what I thought was like a nice coffee and a chat. Turns out it was her trying to reintroduce herself into my life, and
you just were totally oblivious,
totally and utterly oblivious, and she was one of my big school crushes. So Mr. H's awareness is a.
There's a combination there, whether people are good at flirting. Some people are terrible at flirting. Some people are very flirty, but they don't mean anything by it.
Yeah.
Some people are terrible at flirting. Some people are terrible at reading. And all those things, different combinations, you're gonna, the chance of hitting success is going to be lowered.
Well, it was interesting actually. We had a recent meet, and I was, as I sometimes do, showing the hot octopus atom cock ring thing. So, and as I was showing it, someone said, "Oh, that looks nice," and I said, "Well, you'll enjoy it even more when it's on me." Which for me was a lot more fun than I would. Yeah,
and could have just been a cheeky aside.
And I got a very, very affirmative yes. I would like, and I was actually really chuffed with myself. One, that I got the yes, but also that I had that interaction and put myself out there. But
you could say something like that, and it
completely fails.
Or they just laugh at because they think it's just a joke.
And I think the delivery in itself was cheeky enough for me to get away with it.
A little glint in your eye.
Exactly, yeah. So that was an interesting one. So we've had a message from Ebony and Ivory. Hello again, Mr. and Mrs. H. Or Mr. H and Mrs. H. They put me first. Nice. Menace episode. Just a quick email to ask if you could address one of the issues that I have noticed while in the lifestyle. I feel that so much of the attention when at a club or online is placed upon the women. This is amazing for the female half of us who is incredibly understanding of my feelings and makes it clear that we don't want anyone feeling left out on either side. Just wondering if this is something that I'm being silly about or have other males noticed it. I'm more than happy for my better half to play and me to watch. However, this is not what she wants, and I also can't help but feel the lesser of the couple. And having spoken about it with her, she is fantastic at stopping the second she sees I'm not comfortable. This works both ways. As I'm not really interested in playing without my partner there. We went into this as a couple, and the thrill for both of us is seeing the other turned on. We try so hard to include the male counterparts, as I know it's something I feel like can be an issue. Just would love to listen to both your thoughts. Looking forward to hearing from you. So they're not going to get both our thoughts. They're just going to get my thoughts and your thoughts.
I might. Well,
yeah.
I'll do my Mrs. H impression.
Oh, get it.
I think there's a number of things, really. I mean, some people are quite happy just to watch their partners play. I mean, we talked about that earlier.
Wouldn't be for me.
Not my thing, but, but you're going back to that bisexuality bit as well, that actually, generally, and I don't know if they specify there, but if the women are bisexual and the men aren't, and you go into that group, then the guy wants to play with the two women.
Yeah.
So does the other guy, but they're not going to interact. But the women want to play together.
Yes.
So there's just bound to be more attention on the girls, just because of
That's why I take an egg timer with me at all times.
Oh,
because once Mrs. H gets started, it's like, come on.
Yeah, and of course, if you were bi, then you could have, or you might still be able to get involved. But also, it's I feel that from from my point of view as well, actually, I know that Vanilla Ice would quite like to spend more time with the ladies. And so, I'm keen for her to get that experience. Maybe with a unicorn, that might be an easier route to guarantee that nobody's left out. So it's a difficult balance, but
because you don't want them to feel as though there is literally a ticking clock or some timer in the background of you've got this amount of time to play,
and especially as we've already said, neither of us are keen on putting on a show type thing. So
yeah, it's an interesting one. I think the other thing is that I think there is a lot more attention on the women, and we covered that I think fairly extensively.
Well, with the photos and the comments and paying compliments and all of that. Women do get more attention.
Yeah, I think the one thing that does sort of ring true for me is that you do have to play to your strengths to a certain extent as well, though. So, make the most of what you have got so that you don't...
you've always said that, Mrs. H draws the eyes.
She does.
And then, so in a club situation, she'll get that initial attention, but then your personality...
turns everyone away.
Oh, it's those Star Wars impressions again. But exactly
1% of the time it works 100% of the time.
But if you get that attention and that however it comes, even if it is the lady sort of bringing them in, then exactly. Play to your strengths, your personality, charm, humour, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
if they've got an interest in Transformers Generation 1, I can do.
But yes, you've got to have something, even if they're not necessarily drawn to you aesthetically. Okay, that's fine. Not everyone's going to be that person who walks into a room and draws all the eyes, but you do need to put yourself out there. I
think passion's really important as well. Having a passion about something and just getting excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just shows that you have an interest or that you...
Oh, absolutely. Even if it's, back to the nerdy thing, even if it's, whatever, really nerdy, it's not my kind of nerdy, but, actually you are excited about something. There are plenty of people out there who seem to just do nothing. And you're like, fab is great, but that's not your whole life, surely. No, you've got something else.
And if you can capture some of that personality in your pictures or in your profile,
yes,
and have a nod to it, it gives people an inroad.
Something outside of the sex, isn't it? Because fab is, we're all on fab because we want to meet people. We're in the lifestyle because we want to meet people and have sex with them.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not trying to pretend that it's not that.
No.
But if that's all your focus is on, you don't have any other interest, then,
it doesn't...
It's very limiting.
Yeah, it feels quite sad to me in many ways. So we had a tweet from Chris and Karen Swing at Swinging Along podcast. I think the biggest issue is men having to constantly assure the woman if everything is okay, if what they are doing the woman is enjoying, and the act of performing well and finishing. The pressure men face to come and sometimes stay hard as a real one. Well, I think we've covered that quite extensively. And who knows, added, my challenge has always been getting into the right headspace. Balancing my desire to watch my wife play with playing with the other spouse can be challenging. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think it is, we've covered most of those points, but it is communication and it is getting into the right headspace, isn't it? I mean,
definitely.
Being in the right frame of mind can solve a lot of those problems.
Oh, yeah. Fun Italian couple added, a couple means two people, and that means both can post pics. Guy pics aren't nearly as exciting, but it's okay for them to share once in a while too. So absolutely. Here you go. And he's chucked a picture of himself in there. He's a good-looking chap.
Yeah.
We've met him. He was a nice bloke.
Yes.
Yeah, we met her as well. Very nice.
Looking very buff.
I would say a power couple.
Oh, okay.
Power couple, yeah.
Nice.
He's looking good there. He's clearly been going to the gym quite a bit. So, yeah, absolutely agree.
Did you like his photo?
Did I like his photo? I think I did. I commented on it, so it's even better, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's engagement beyond liking. So, I absolutely agree. A couple means two people, and I think it's really important to demonstrate that there is another part of that.
Also, it's two individuals and a couple. There's different things there, aren't there?
Yeah.
And going back to photos and actually just meeting people and seeing how they interact with their other half. That if it's a couple and you can see how into each other they are, that's much more attractive to me. That's
awesome. That's half the fun of it, I think.
Yeah.
And if if they show all of that stuff and put it out there, it's a really nice
exactly.
Occasion.
I mean, when we were here the other day and we were arguing with our spouses about talking over each other and all that normal stuff that goes into a relationship, you can see it all, and there's the inner workings.
We've definitely seen some inner work. Our Secret Life said, concerning the age gap in our relationship, we are filtered out of the younger demographic. Despite Mrs. L's youthful 41 years, we tend to find that it's easier to find men Mrs. L likes in the 50 plus age group than women Mr. L finds attractive. It's the opposite for us.
I don't say how old he is, which...
This is like one of those math, if a train is travelling at 50 miles an hour and it's 80 miles from the city. So, hang on. I was thinking along the lines of performance anxiety, feeling the less attractive partner on the relationship, worries about flirting, from Our Secret Life.
Yeah, well, I think we have covered all of those, haven't we?
Yeah, I think the age gap thing is an interesting one, and it's because we have met people where...
So are you talking about an age gap between the couple...
The partners, yeah, so...
Rather than the age gap between the couples?
Yes, so, both, but I think mostly so if the chap is in his 50s and she's in her 30s, that can be an interesting blend, particularly as, we're sort of... Mrs. H is older than I am, but not by a significant amount.
She's older than I am as well.
Yeah, she's the oldest person in the room, I think. Well, she's not in the room, but she's not listening. It's fine. We'll be okay. But so that dynamic can be quite an interesting one to navigate, I find, particularly as it tends to be older guys and younger.
Yes, I was going to say, does it matter the other way around? Not that it matters, but does it make us? I think that actually men age better. Personally, myself, I think I'm more attractive as I've got older. And I think it's easier for a man to sort of develop that silver fox. But even when you get sort of into more matures, there's a lot more pressure on women. Yeah,
I agree on that front. And it is interesting, though, because actually that dynamic of, because you've all got to be a match. And it's quite hard to match up if age is a thing.
That's it. There's got to be the attractiveness, but also there's got to be, as we said, more. Yeah. And actually, just having watched the same stuff on TV when you were kids is actually, those kind of shared experiences that I have.
He says this wearing a Ninja Turtle shirt, by the way. Or a shirt referencing the Ninja Turtles.
I was chatting to a new colleague, and I won't go into too much detail, but she learnt about September the 11th in history. And I suddenly felt ancient. And I thought, there is going to be you don't have those shared experiences.
Getting her to sign up on Fab, though, was a stroke of genius. No comments. Well, I think that covers pretty much everything that we had sent through, and I think most of the stuff that we wanted to cover, despite our commitment to each other to say that we're going to keep this snappy and short.
Sorry, I'm a ramble. I don't go hiking. I mean, I'm doing it again.
Bit of a talker. That's fine. It's not as if I don't talk.
No.
He says on his own podcast designed to enable me to talk as much as I fucking want. So, right, well, I think in which case we'll sum it up and wrap it up. Is there anything, obviously very important, anything you want to add or chuck in?
Yeah, I mean, mainly communication. And what I would say is the girls are going to talk about, on their own podcast, about female issues.
Yeah.
This is a really important listen for guys, I think. Hopefully it's useful. And discuss some of the issues that they might be thinking. But it's also important for women to listen to those issues and, find out some of the things that men might be thinking and, what would be a good way of helping.
Yeah.
And vice versa. When the Womenisode comes out in a couple of weeks, then, men can listen to that, and as well as women, obviously, but can listen and, go, oh, okay, that might be, what's going on in their head.
Well, it's a great way of having those conversations and opening up some of those things. Also, the other thing I'm thinking is that if both partners download it, I get more podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any danger in my wife listening to it, but you never know.
So I'll just subscribe on her
phone. If she's on it, she probably will.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me today.
My pleasure, thank you for having me.
Hope everyone finds this useful. As ever, please get in touch. We'll put all the details on that at the end. I'm sure Mrs. H and I will come back for a final thought, Jerry Springer style at the end of this one.
And we will put out some buff pictures.
Oh, yeah. And, I'm hoping to put a couple out.
Compliment.
Maybe, some one or two to warm people up to the show, not put them off, hopefully.
And men, put
Yes.
out your own pictures.
Exactly. And if you see those pictures, like them.
And compliment.
and retweet them and all sorts of things. Thank you very much, Lord Voldemort. You've been a great guest.
My pleasure.
So we're back in the room. Well, actually, we never really left the room. This was through the magic of recording, like a stop and start kind of thing situation. Yeah. With some editing required, probably.
Probably.
Yeah, Mrs. H is looking confused now.
I always do.
Yeah,
It's just my natural state.
I mean, this is like the day after we recorded, so this he's not in the room anymore.
Like time zones mean anything to me.
No, I know that. Like time means
Or
everything.
time, yeah.
I know.
Like literally, I'm just like Gandalf, pretty much.
What I was drinking.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but actually there are some similarities I could draw with Gandalf there.
Right.
I meant I arrive exactly when I intend to.
Do you? Really? Well, as listeners
Much
will
like
know,
Gandalf.
quite often you don't arrive at all, so... Snap! Burn!
Oh my god.
Anyway, huge thank you to Lord Voldemort for joining me and having a lovely little chat in his kitchen.
Nice.
That was very nice, very pleasant. I enjoyed myself.
Mm-hmm.
I also enjoyed seeing Vanilla Ice in her pyjamas when we rocked up for the second time.
We had a right good girly chat.
Did you?
We really did.
Oh, I'm glad you two had some fun. We've now got to re-record the girly show.
The girly show, yeah.
Yep, it's going to be a full-on girly show.
Oh my god.
If there isn't a couple of women chucking pillows at each other in the 90s...
We are not having some weird pillow fight.
Is it not a sleepover?
No, it is not.
Oh.
We are going to talk about some adult stuff.
Shit.
We're not going to talk about shit.
Probably not. You never know with the second recording. You're never quite sure where it's going to go. So anyway, thanks to both of them for, one, having us over and entertaining us, and B, being very kind and generous with their time, doubly so because we fucked up the recording. No. By we, I mean me, but mostly you. And
no, it was his large magnet that he kept somewhere.
Yeah, there was an electromagnetic disturbance of the force.
Hmm.
I'm sure we've got friends who will science us on that.
Very
front.
likely.
Yeah, I think we're waiting for some sciencey stuff from them as well, actually.
Science.
Yeah, some science. They'll know who they are.
All right.
Anyway, right. Well, in terms of what have we got coming up, we've got
a girly show.
We've got a girly show. We've also got a road trip.
Ooh,
to London.
Road trip to London town.
To London, which will be quite fun.
Yes.
I'm not sure what else is in our calendar. We're hurtling towards Desire.
Yes, we are. We really are.
We've got one costume sorted.
Hey, well, you have.
Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing.
Yes, it is amazing.
Yes, thank you.
And it looks like it's going to be really, 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 really hot to wear as well.
Yeah, but I'll look really, 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 really hot on it.
For that 12 seconds that you can sustain wearing it in the 30-degree heat. Yes, I can't wait.
Well, your parcel and costume is arriving tomorrow.
And is mine as massive?
No,
Thank
yours
Christ.
is tighter than a tiger.
Oh, shut up.
No.
You better be joking.
No, not in the slightest.
I'm not having some return to like the Cumberland sausage affair.
The return to Oz. I've given you the.
If I look like a joint of meat tied up with some string, I'm going to be really annoyed.
No, it is Return to Oz costume. You're the moose sofa.
I haven't seen Return to Oz.
Yes, you have.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have.
Is it one with the weird wheelie things where they got hands and wheels?
Yeah, and TikTok.
I don't know what that is.
That's the robot, the big rotund general robot thing.
I just remember the horrible things with wheels for hands.
Yeah, and the pumpkin head dude, and the chicken, and the rock.
And wasn't there some
troll.
like loads of different heads kept in cupboards?
Mumby,
and she'd go and
I think,
change her
change
heads.
So you have seen it.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
That's a weird. I hope there's no costume related to that. I can't imagine.
Hey lady, you're
got
only
me
supposed to throw your own head.
Got me some roller skates for my hands.
I've actually got you one of the fire demons from Labyrinth.
No. Nobody ever wants to be a fire demon.
Your eyes can be so cruel.
Don't go get me all riled up now.
It's not difficult.
Huh.
Anyways, since I've got you vaguely riled up, we should be heading off. Look out for the girly show in the next edition of Bed Hoppers. Mrs. H, do your thing.
Well, thank you for hopping into our bed.
So we didn't actually mention how people can get hold of us. So if you're underwater, please send us an octopus.
And if you're in the air, send us a pigeon.
Pigeon? Pigeon's so 2018.
What sort of bird would you like then?
I want an eagle.
I
Nothing
don't
less
like any
than...
birds, you know this.
I'd like a vulture.
A vulture.
A vulture.
Delivering you some kind of missive about what we want to talk about.
I don't know, what do you guys want to do?
God, don't start that again.
Which is literally what they say in the film.
Is it?
Yeah, don't start that again. I think that's what they say.
Oh, I'll have
Maybe
to watch
this
it.
maybe this is like compacted somehow in my brain.
You're talking about Lion King, right?
Oh my god.
No, is it not Lion King?
No. Come on, when you look under the rocks and plants
Oh,
and
it's a jungle bit.
Yes, there we go.
I could have sworn there's some vultures in Lion King.
Are there? No. What you're thinking of is our strange trip to
Yes,
Cuba
that's
or
what I'm
wherever it
thinking
was.
of. Are there no vultures in Lion King? Are you sure?
Not really, no. They're not like there's not like a vulture character.
Well, why were there like so many vultures in the play?
Because they were filling time in between songs.
I thought it was like some key part of Lion King that was like worth making a scene out of.
Yes, the vulture song, the most popular bit of all Lion King's songs.
But whenever I watch Lion King, I only ever watch the same bit over and over and again, which is the bit with Scar.
Which
makes me
bit?
cry.
Oh, the bit.
Am I allowed to say it though?
Yeah,
'Cause it's a
spoilers for
isn't
Lion
it?
King, but if you haven't seen it, then
Then fuck you.
Yeah. Go fuck a lion.
Oh God.
Well, which bit makes you cry?
The bit where he gets trampled by the herd of everything in the world that like stampedes its way through this canyon, and then he dies.
Who?
Not Scar, his dad.
That's-
Not Scar's dad. Oh God. Simba, is that his name? Simba's dad.
What's he called?
I don't bloody know. I haven't really seen it.
Is it not Mufasa?
Is it?
Is it?
Are you sure?
Maybe.
It doesn't sound like a very liney name.
A very liney name.
Well, it sounds more like
Like a sauce.
like a witch doctor or something.
Mufasa the witch doctor.
Yes.
God, you're so wrong. You can't say things like that. This is terrible.
What's wrong with witch doctor?
I don't know. It just doesn't sound very...
You think everything I say is not politically correct?
Well, most of the things you say are not politically
not
correct.
true.
Well, no, we'll see. Anyway, so other ways you can contact us is on Twitter at bedhopperssuck, on email at bedhopperssuck@gmail.com.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think it's that
I
one.
think Bedhoppers just suck, really.
We're on Fab.
Yeah.
Bedhoppers. Give us a message there. If you're on Fab and you decide to send us a message,
Oh, for fuck's sake, just don't say hi.
yeah, I lost my will to live
Yeah.
today. Yeah, so we'll be talking about some of those things later on, I think. And feel free to read the profile. Don't necessarily feel the need to ask us how to find a podcast.
or just open it with hi.
Hi. So there's that.
Right.
We're also on Double Date Nation, so you can find us on
Oh,
Bedhoppers there, so you can
yeah.
give us a shout or a wink or whatever it is that you do on there.
Yeah.
You can also scavenge around in our bins, and eventually Mrs. H will come out clanging a bin lid to scare you away, like the filthy raccoon that you are.
What, like it's some little trash panda?
Yeah. Even though we don't actually have raccoons over here. Unless they're a pet.
Well, I have seen raccoons, but they're not indigenous to the area we
Have
live
you
in,
seen a raccoon roaming the streets?
No, I have not.
Was it a badger?
No, I know the difference between a badger and a raccoon.
Hang on. So what does a badger look like?
Well, it's black and white.
What does a raccoon look like?
They're grey. And with black and white. But they have like little bandit eyes, don't they? Because they're really cute.
What, badgers?
No! Raccoons.
Would you say, like, I don't know, in like a video game, like the boss would be the badger, yet the henchman would be like the raccoons?
That would be a really weird game if you had like a badger boss.
Critter Duffer. You can go punch a badger.
Oh my God. I would run away from a badger. They look fucking terrifying.
I've seen you run away from a badger.
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, this is very true.
They are so scary.
We saw a badger out down our street, actually, quite
Yeah.
a month ago. It was good fun.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we saw it. Yoko also saw the badger and was less than impressed.
Exactly. She turned and ran away as well.
No.
They're big and they've got really big claws.
As he comes at you with a banana.
Yes. A loganberry.